Okay, so continuing with lesson 3, I know I already talked about sources. We already went through a lot of this. It talks about how to cite your sources. It gives you an example of a handwritten works cited page, which I would be shocked if anybody turns in a handwritten works cited page, but there it is, it's listed. They show you how to list a website, the title of the web page, the title of the website, the publisher of the website. So these are things that can be helpful. These are things that are also in the MLA handbook. I just want to say that google.com, yahoo.com, etc. are not websites that you can cite stuff. Those are search engines. So you have to go to an actual web page that is an actual source that you're using. You can't just say google.com. That doesn't work. And I also want to say that, although I appreciate the fact that you're learning and identifying how to cite stuff, I think that this question is kind of crazy. I would not force you to figure out what goes first, what goes second, what goes third on a citation page. I think that that's accessible information for anybody who's doing work online, that you would never have to learn that or memorize that in any way, shape, or form. So I'm not happy with that test question. I might edit it right out of there. Okay, so if we're moving on from lesson 3, there's a little, it says research project task. And I think this is where we're supposed to document our sources. So they want you to come up with your index cards and your sources, and I just want to talk about gathering the information and how to do it and what that looks like. Okay, so I said, okay, what if I'm doing the French Revolution? So let's say that I choose a website that I think is going to be useful. I'm going back to that nationalarchives.gov UK. All right, and so here I am on this website. I'm going to spend some time looking at it. I'm going to identify something about the French Revolution that I want to write about or want to, that is relevant to my topic. So, maybe it's maybe it's about the Bastille, maybe it's about Napoleon, maybe. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to look at some of these sources, right? And these look to be confidential report from British ambassadors. So these look to be primary sources, which is good. And there may be something here that I want to use or pull from. And so let's just say I find a tidbit of information. The first thing that I'm going to do is, instead of doing a note card, I'm going to go up to my URL, my HTTP or whatever you want to call it, and I'm just going to cut and paste that. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to create a Google Doc. Maybe you prefer a slide. You could do a slide because then you could print it off in squares. That's fine. But what I would do is I would, at the very least, I would put my source at the top, my web page. And then let's say there's information on that page that I want to use, which is basically what you're doing with your index card. You're finding information that you want to use. Let's say I want to write about King Louis XVI, and I'm talking about him. And so some of his information, let's say I want to talk about King Louis XVI was executed. Maybe I want to cite something like this. If I'm going to use this in my paper and I'm going to use it as a cited source, then I'm going to go back to that documentation page and I'm going to save that information. I know that that information came from that page and it is word for word, what the book says or what the source says. So, there's one thing. Maybe I go and I find 5 more like this, and I list my information. Maybe it's a quote. Maybe King Louis the 16th said something before he died that was relevant to the French Revolution, or, embraced what they were fighting against or what they were fighting for. You know, maybe I find something really insightful, some great quotation that I want to use. My point is that all of your information that you get from this site will go on this page with this source. All right. And then when you choose a new source, then you start a new page. And that way it's the same as doing index cards. Your index card is supposed to say National Archives, and every time you write something from that source, you put it on an index card, but it's number one. It's number one is National Archive source. So all of your cards are 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, and then you can pull from those. I'm saying that you can do this on a Google Doc and have your information. Now, where it becomes difficult is, you know, maybe I'm writing about King Louis the 16th, but I'm not talking about his death until the very end of the paper. I'm talking about his quote in the middle of the paper. I'm talking about his childhood in the beginning of the paper. So all these little pieces of information, I want to move them to where I want to put them in different paragraphs. So that's where it becomes difficult to move this information. If you had it on a card, you could move it around, but you don't have to have it on a card. The other thing that I want to share with you is this Eng1BUnit63 website. Let me see if I can drag it down so you can see. Eng1BUnit63. I just type in Al and it comes up. But you'll notice right away it says MLA Formatting and Style Guide. So it's a lot like your handbook, only it's right there for you. And it tells you how to list the author, how to title the source, how to, it goes through all of those different. So if you search a book or a website or whatever, it will tell you over here. There's more. It will tell you how to show it in the paper, how to format it, how to do your works cited page. A periodical is like an educational magazine or article. It's print. Electronic sources, that's where you're going to go. You're going to go right there. You type in your source. The other place to go is EasyBib. If you look at EasyBib and you hit citations, MLA Works Cited, I think you can go here and just type in your URL and it will automatically cite it for you. So there's some help here. You don't have to write everything out page by page. I think that you can set up on EasyBib, and it will let you get started. It will let you put in your source. I don't know where it is, but it's here somewhere. Citation generator. Create citation. So you click here, you type in your URL or list your website, and it should make the citation for you. Like, all you have to do is put in your website. Cite a website by using the URL. And you put it in and you search it and it goes, hey, here's how you cite it. And so anyway, that's another resource for you to use. All right, that's another resource for you to use. So the other thing that you can do is if you go to Google Docs and hit report, you can use this template. And if you follow this template, it's already in MLA format. So you just have to fill in, and then instead of Latin, you would actually type your paper here. So that's an easy way to format your paper and then save it to your drive for submitting it. It's already in the MLA format, in the right font and all of that. So there will be more to come, but that's that should get us through Unit 3, I think. Unit 4 is gathering information, so that's where these index cards come in. Again, you don't have to use an index card, but it's asking for you to have 20 different pieces of information. So I would try to stick to that if you can. They talk about doing an outline. Just like I talked about, I would do parts depending on what I was researching. I talked about the Bolsheviks, but if we were doing the French Revolution and Louis XVI, I might talk about his early life, his political life, his life during the war, or leading up to the revolution, and then his death. So, I might kind of lay it out a little bit and create an outline. And they talk about how to do that. They talk about quoting and paraphrasing, summarizing. So this is good information so that you're not plagiarizing, you're not just copying. Quoting is copying it word for word, but saying who said it. Paraphrasing means to restate a passage from the text in your own words, but you still have to give credit for the idea. You know, I didn't think that up all by myself. I copied it from a book and put it in my own words. I still have to say who gave me that original idea. And a summary is where you sum up what you've read. When you paraphrase or summarize from a text, you must be careful to avoid plagiarism. Copying a sentence from the text but just changing a few words is not an acceptable paraphrase or summary. You must not copy the arrangement of ideas or use the sentence structure from the text. Writing a passage in your own words means using your own expression and organization. In your summary or paraphrase, you must also make sure that your restatement is faithful to the original ideas in the text. You can't misinterpret or mislead by changing what the meaning is. All right, and so taking notes, this is what you're going to be doing on those document pages. Making all of your notes. It says 20 note cards, but again, I would just say 20 pieces of information that you're going to use to cite your source. And so that takes us up through lesson 4, and I'm going to stop there because that's kind of a lot. I'll catch up with you guys next week to keep going on the rest. All right, bye.